for our blessings and we give you all the glory and credit in the Savior's Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
And now for the starters for the Hornets. Leading off and playing third base, number 25, Danielle McNeil. Batting second and playing second base, number 12, Arlene Miller. Batting third and playing first base, number 16, Tiffany Bowers. Batting fourth and playing DP, number 23, Taylor Smith. Batting fifth and behind the plate, number 10, Janet Snyder. Batting sixth and playing left field, number 13, Katie Peterson. Batting seventh and in the circle, number 22, Taylor Smith. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, number 19, Sydney Flores. Batting ninth and playing right field, number 1, Lily Rafiki. And at flex playing center field, number 21, Lexi Reed. The Hornets are coached by head coach Courtney Allen and assisted by Aaron Woodson and Kevin Fisher. And now the starters for your Southern Virginia University Knights. Leading off in the circle, number 8, Ariana Primack. Batting second and playing shortstop, number 20, DeKel Jones. Batting third and playing third base, number 24, JC Shumway. Batting fourth and playing left field, number 16, Crystal Kemp. Batting fifth and behind the plate, number 15, Traylon Diamond. Batting sixth and playing first base, number 22, Katie Plater. Batting seventh and playing DP, number 6, Malia Davis. Batting eighth and playing center field, number 3, Chloe Nelson. Batting ninth and playing right field, number 9, Kimberly Odom. And as flex, playing second base, number 7, Cadence Vanderbilt. The Knights are coached by Tiffany Pendleton and assisted by Rachel Monson, Kinsey Cox, and Kobe Kemp. Now, if you all will please rise and remove your caps and face the flag as we honor America with the playing of our nation's national anthem. Thank you and good luck to both teams. Let's play ball.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's presentation of Southern Virginia Athletics here on Knights Broadcasting. Today's softball matchup is between the Hornets of Shenandoah University and your Southern Virginia University Knights. I'm Dawson Weidrich, joined by Danny Ash for a beautiful day here at the fields in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Buena Vista, Virginia. Danny, it's great to have you here today.
Excellent to be here. Thanks for having me.
It should be a really great contest between, again, the Hornets of Shenandoah and the Knights of Southern Virginia. Danny, you and I were talking before the game. These two teams are kind of on an opposite trajectory right now in the early goings of the season. Right now, the Hornets are sitting at a 3-7 overall record. They did win their most recent game, of course, that being against Mary Washington with a score. Well, in the doubleheader, they've lost the first game 0-2. Second game, they won 10-6. But again, overall 3-7 record. It's been kind of a struggle. They haven't won a single home game yet, but they've had a lot of success away from home, going 2-1 in away games, 1-3 in neutral sites. Whereas for Southern Virginia, they're sitting at an 8-2 record, and they're on a 3-game win streak, 7-1 away, 1-1 at home. If you're Southern Virginia and you're having this much success, Danny, what are some things that they can do to keep progressing and keep that winning record going?
Right, so we're going to want to see a lot of consistency at the plate. We have seen this year's team of Knights have been really consistent. They've been doing a great job putting runners on base and moving girls around. We've seen a ton of power from the later lineup, and that's excellent to see, and we're going to want to see them continue to keep that momentum. They're again 7-1. This is one of the best starts, if not the best start the Knights have ever had, and love to just see them keep up with that. So love to see what they do at home. I know that they went, I think last year when they played this team, they lost each game by 1 run. So they're going to be hungry for some wins against this team today. So we got great weather, great day to play some ball. So hoping to see the Knights come through with this today.
Indeed, not a single cloud in the sky. That's a foul ball there. And pitching for Southern Virginia to begin this doubleheader is number 8, Ariana Primack. And batting right now at the top of the order for Shenandoah is McNeil, number 25. Again, that's Danielle McNeil, the sophomore from Royersford, Pennsylvania.
Wow, 0-2 to start. That's fantastic. That's exactly what you want if you are number 8, Ariana. I really can't ask for a better start than that to the game.
Absolutely right down the middle, making her miss, too. That's one thing you love to see.
Oh, yeah. Okay, we got a bit of an off-speed there. Caught her looking fantastic start.
One up, one down for Southern Virginia. Up now for Shenandoah is number 12. That is Miller. And again, you have a quick strikeout right there. If you're Shenandoah, again, early in the game, you don't want to panic. You know there's plenty of time to get things going. And fielded.
A bit of a miscommunication there. So some people weren't where they were supposed to be. A slap defense is a little bit difficult to maneuver.
And a slide to second. Again, like you said, miscommunication there. And, Miller caught them not looking.
Yep. She did a fantastic job taking advantage of that defense, not knowing quite where they're supposed to be. That was good on her part. Southern Virginia is going to have to watch that speed and make sure that they're just doing the simple things, being where they should. That should have been an easy second out, but now we've got a runner on 2. Let's see what happens.
Now to bat is number 16. That is third baseman Bauer. That's foul ball out into the woods off to the right side. So again, after you had the strikeout, now you have a runner on second base. And so if you're Shenandoah, you just need a solid hit into the outfield or into the center field, low in center field, just to get a run in right away.
Yeah, just looking for some easy base hits right there. She's probably going to progress to third.
Indeed, she will. That is Miller now at third base. And now to bat is number 23. That is Smith.
Now batting, Taylor Smith.
That is Taylor Smith. So again, Shenandoah is still in scoring position, but 2 outs now. So really, Southern Virginia just needs to make one simple play to get into the dugout rather quickly at the top of the first.
Yeah, and 1 run isn't too much of a setback to overcome. But yeah, Southern Virginia just needs to settle down. Just play some good ball, and just if there's a grounder, throw her out at 1, and get back in the dugout, put some runs on the board.
Again, just make the simple play that you can. And unfortunately, unable to do so. And that brings in a run for the Hornets. You see the ball had stalled in the air. So Southern Virginia's number 7, Cadence Van Dyvener, was not able to get to it.
Now batting,
Yeah, it's interesting to see them changing up their defensive positions today. It looks like we have Decal Jones in shortstop, and usually she's their go-to second baseman. So might have some jitters on the field today, but I think they'll be able to settle down. And now they're making it a bit easier, so they could get her out at 2 or 1. So easiest base right here. We see Ariana putting some good movement on the ball today. Love to see that. We have a just tiniest hint of a breeze coming in from the west, so she's, if that picks up, she's getting a little bit of speed behind her ball.
Indeed, and right now at bat is number 10, Brenna Snyder, the sophomore from Adamstown, Maryland. Trying to battle. She has a runner on first. Head onto the outfield, solid hit. And it goes between the legs of the outfielder. The Hornets might get another run here. And in fact, they will. And that'll be a triple for Snyder. So again, a couple of fielding errors at the top of the inning for Southern Virginia have resulted in some runs that otherwise would not have occurred had they just been able to make the simple plays they need to. Of course, again, as the game progresses, you'll see those things being ironed out, and you'll see those things start to work out better for them. But right now, the Hornets have a 2-run lead.
Yeah, that is one of the unfortunate things about being on the road for so long. When you come back after, they haven't had a home series since February, I want to say. Those game jitters coming back on the home turf can be a lot to handle. But we've seen the Knights be able to come back from quite a bit before. I think they did this in their first series where they were down a little bit and then they came back fighting. Luckily, we've got some really good bats on the team this year, so I don't think it's anything they can't overcome.
That one a little outside from Primack. And like you said, the Knights have spent a lot of their schedule away from home to start the year. Again, 7-1 away record. It's a foul ball there. And again, only 2 home games so far this year. So again, you say that they spend a lot of time away. You spend a lot of time at other fields, right?
Yep. And
again, coming back and now you're in front of your home crowd. It's a whole different ball game. People like to say that home field advantage or, things that happen on away games, there's no difference. It's just the same field. That's just simply not true.
Yeah.
And a strikeout there for Southern Virginia.
Yeah, another beautiful off-speed. Primack's doing an excellent job really throwing him off with that. She's caught him licking a couple times with that one. It's a good one to have in her arsenal.
And so after the top of the first inning, the Knights find themselves trailing the Hornets of Shenandoah University 2-0. So Southern Virginia will have a chance to respond. We just want to remind you, watch this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below, let us know how we're doing, and be sure to click that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. Thank you so much for tuning in to Knights Broadcasting. So again, if you're Southern Virginia, you find yourselves down 2 runs. Again, like you said before, 1 or 2 runs isn't a huge advantage to overcome. It isn't a huge deficit to, work your way back. Even if you do it slowly and steadily, you can work back through it. But defensively, what are some things you got to correct in order to make sure that while you're making your way, that they don't have another inning like that?
So I think one of the things we were seeing is that these girls aren't staying quite as low as they should be. So we want to see their gloves in the dirt. We've had a few things bounce off the tips of gloves or go, underneath their legs, both in the infield and outfield. So we're going to want to see girls staying low, just playing the ball, seeing the ball all the way in, and just reacting to the things that they're seeing on the field. So seeing Southern Virginia clean up a bit of their communication and knowing where they're supposed to be, especially when you have, that number 2 hole hitter who's a slapper lefty, that she's going to be moving fast. That she's going to know how to place the ball. So taking away the advantage of her being a slapper is going to be what you're looking for. But up to bat, we have number 8, Ariana Premick. She's batting, I think, .469 on the year. So she's doing great at getting on base, seeing the ball, getting a good look at the pitcher, and we'll see what she can do for the Knights today. But just excited to see what she comes out with. We have a really strong start to the lineup so far. We see Ariana Premick in the number 1 spot, Decal Jones, JC Shumway and then Crystal Kemp, the first 4 hitters, really solid with their batting averages, doing awesome this year. So that would be, if we can see a lot of fire, a bit of a comeback from those first 4 hitters, and then see what the rest of the lineup has to offer, I think Southern Virginia can get out of this.
Absolutely, they're at the top of the lineup for a reason, for sure. Browner in the infield, and it's mishandled by number 12, Ariana Miller. So Primick will be safe at first, and like you said, she's had a really good batting year so far, and is able to get the best of pitcher number 22, Kayla Stevenson. So now up to bat for Southern Virginia is Jones. So we'll see if she can help advance Primick to second base. And the beautiful thing is that Shenandoah had a fantastic top of the first inning due to some infield errors from the Knights.
Ooh.
Nearly tagged out at first. The ball came out of her glove. But as I was kind of saying there, is that Southern Virginia was able to get on base before a single out has happened yet, which is a step up from what Shenandoah had done at the top of the first.
That is a huge advantage when you are the team that is batting, because it gives you a lot of opportunities. You can bunt, we see a beautiful single there, and that's going to advance Primick to third. And DeKel Jones to second base. We got the ball going wild over there by the home field dugout, but yeah, that's going to be probably a single with advancement on fielder's choice. But excellent running by number 8.
Yeah, Primick able to get to third, and McNeil, number 25, not able to manage the ball at third base. She's lucky that Primick wasn't standing, and she probably could have run towards home base and gotten a run for the Knights. But fortunately for Shenandoah, that did not happen. So now the Knights have runners on second and third. Very fantastic scoring opportunity for Southern Virginia. And Shumway up to bat for the Knights. Right down the middle, strike 1.
JC is also doing really fantastic on the year, hitting at a 452. That's insane. Beautiful.
And that's going to bring in possibly 2 runs for Southern Virginia. Indeed, it will.
Sure is.
It's safe at second. Looks like the Hornets weren't quite able to get her. That was number 12, Ariane Miller, trying to tag her at second. So again, we talked about how 2 runs, again, you don't want to give up runs, but at the same time, it's like, no sweat, we can make that up. We have batters, like you mentioned, batting in the 400s, that can definitely make that up in no time. So now you see the Hornets meeting up and trying to figure out what they can do to stop the bleeding, because again, no outs yet.
Yeah, for Southern Virginia, you really can't get in a better spot than this. Everybody's made it on base in one way or another. We've had some really solid hits. We've taken advantage of opportunities when the other team hasn't been able to quite come through. So you see Southern Virginia both being scrappy and putting some power and having some well-placed hits. This is fantastic.
Absolutely, and up to bat for Southern Virginia is number 16, Crystal Kemp.
Crystal Kemp has been such a powerhouse this year. I think she has 4 home runs on the year, and I think in one game she had 6 or 7 RBIs alone. So I love to see a team that has speed, power, you know, it's got a little bit of everything, and it's really, really working for the Knights. We're seeing how it's led to a 8-2 record.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So a foul ball there. And like you said, whenever you have a variety of ways that you can make things happen on your team, it bodes so well for you. Because, again, if you have an identity of being a fast team and you need to get a couple of solid hits and that's just not part of who you are, then that puts you in a tough situation. But if you have people who can run the bases very well, you have a couple power hitters that can hit those home runs like you're saying, it makes it much easier for you to, if you're in a pickle, come from behind, or maintain the lead. There's just a lot of things you can do with a variety like that on your batting lineup.
Yeah. We saw a bit of overeagerness from number 16, Crystal Kemp, with a swinging strikeout, but 1 out, runner on 2. We've also seen power from Kraylin Diamond up to bat right now, and we've seen her be able to get runners in on solid hits. And we could even see pop flies advancing runners. So there are a number of things that Craylin could do to help out the team in this position.
And Jason Shumway still at second. The Knights trying to get a third run here in the bottom of the first. Solid hit past the pitcher. So it'll be a single, and Shumway advances to third.
Yeah, Craylin's got nobody on first, so she was doing a good job drawing the eye, trying to see if they could maybe advance that runner on third, trying to get the pitcher to throw needlessly, but that was smart running.
Indeed, you saw Kara Watkins right there, ready to make the play if need be. Excuse me, that's actually number 16, Tiffany Bauer, right there, trying to keep track and make sure that they do not advance like you said. So now up to bat for Southern Virginia is number 22, Katie Clater. And again, a situation like this where you have a runner on first and third, and you still have, well, you only have one out now. It puts you defensively in a very awkward position to where you have people that can be still in second. You have to worry about someone creeping in at home. Double play here. Fantastic work from the Hornets to limit the damage of Southern Virginia to just 2 runs. So basically it's now 0-0 again, with scoring 2 runs to 2, and the Hornets have a chance to respond.
Yeah, we'll see what the rest of the Hornets lineup will do here. So hopefully Southern Virginia, with getting some runs on the board, maybe we'll see the defense be able to settle down a little bit. This is their field, this is their turf. They practice here all the time. They know how the ball plays on both the outfield grass, they know how it plays on the dirt. So they should have the advantage in this case, and hopefully some of those first inning jitters are out of their system now, and love to see some clean ball.
And I'm sure that's exactly what the coaches for Southern Virginia, both Tiffany Pendleton, Kenzie Cox, Colby Kemp, and Rachel Moss, were all telling them in the dugout, like, hey, guys, we're here every single day. This is basically our second home away from either the coaches' houses or the players' dorm rooms or apartments, right? We know this place better than anyone that's going to come here. So let's play like we do and remember that, remind ourselves of that, and go back out there defensively and take care of business.
Absolutely. And honestly, there's no place you'd rather be on a day like today. So go out and enjoy it.
Especially the fact that there's not even a single cloud in the sky. But folks, I want to remind you this presentation is brought to you by Straws Drinks Needs here in Buena Vista, Virginia. You might see that it's a very beautiful day here. It's a little bit warm, so on a nice warm day, you might like a cold soda or a cold drink. So check out Straws Drinks Needs today if you're in the Buena Vista, Virginia area. Straws Drinks Needs, thanks so much for partnering with Southern Virginia Athletics. So Primick pitching once again. And up to bat for the Hornets as it's foul ball off to the left side. This is number 22, that's Stevenson, the pitcher for the Hornets. That's Kayla Stevenson. So it's pitcher v. pitcher right now.
That's always a bit of an interesting. Ooh, that one was real close. He's not giving too much on those. The umpire isn't calling much on the high side of the zone. So it's always good to, you know, the first few innings you're getting to know your umpire and what his zone is like.
Hit into right field. And that'll be a single for Stevenson. That's a tough place to make a play on. It's hit right down the first base line. You know, in the outfield, you have to run all the way there and try to make sure you at least limit the damage. There's not much you can do there unless you're really playing to the left, which no coach will ever advise you to do.
Right.
Now to bat for the Hornets is Flores.
You see a beautifully placed bunt, but they're going to get her out at first, but she successfully advances the runner. So that's a sacrifice right there. Beautifully placed bunt.
It absolutely was. And Stevenson, like you said, advances to second, puts the Hornets in scoring position once again. Now with number 1, Lily Richichi, the junior from Middleton, New Jersey, up to bat. So 1 out so far in the top of the first, or top of the second, excuse me.
If you're Southern Virginia right now, you get something on the infield, you're going to want to check that runner and then go ahead and get her out at first. In the outfield, you're going to want to be gunning for home, making sure that runner doesn't score needlessly.
Orchichi's swinging at that one. It wasn't a very confident swing. You could tell she tried to hold back the last minute. Another swing and a miss.
Yeah, the reaction time needed to decide whether or not you're going to swing is fractions of a second.
That'll go out to the woods. So Orchichi's still battling. Like I said, that's one thing you don't really think about when you're watching either baseball or softball is the fact that there's split-second decisions being made when you're up to bat every single time. And the more you think about it, the more impressive it becomes. I mean, you can do it all you want in like a backyard game or something, but when you actually look at these pitchers who have been pitching their whole lives and they're trained and they're playing at a collegiate level, you can't be anything but impressed.
Right.
Another foul ball, so Orchichi continuing to stay in there.
Be interested to see if Premick throws one of those off speeds again that she's been so successful with. The girl is seeing her pretty well. She's fouling it off, but we'll see what sort of movement number 8 will throw here.
Another foul ball.
The batter's doing a really fantastic job, really battling things off. You don't want to leave that sort of thing up to the umpires, so if it's even close, you're going to want to try to take it, wait for something that's more up your alley.
I mean, a single. Stevenson will stay at third. And she'll advance to second. That's Orchichi, I mean. Now runners on second and third. So instead of getting a second out, now the Hornets are in an even better position to put runs on the board. Now to bat for the Hornets is number 21, Lexi Reed, the sophomore from Manassas, Virginia. And that's got to be frustrating, too, because, again, Premick had 2 strikes on Orchichi, and she kept on battling out, foul ball, and was able to get a base hit and advance to second. As pitcher, you had them right there on the ropes. And for it to become a base hit, it's something you have to really battle through mentally.
Absolutely. Being in one of those battery positions, you really just have to keep plugging through. You're going to face a lot of adversity. You're going to end up in some unfortunate situations, especially as a pitcher. Sometimes you're going to have home runs hit off of you, and that's something that you just have to overcome. But as in any sport, the mental toughness that you have to bring to the table is one of the most important things to bring in collegiate sports.
A low pitch will result in another run scored for the Hornets. That's Stevenson making it home. And the Hornets take back the lead with a score of 3 runs to 2. And Orchichi is now at third. And, you talk about mental toughness. A lot of times that in most sports, it's 10% physical ability and attributes and 90% mental. That's really a lot of what it is. You can train your body as much as you want to do different things in sports, but if you do not have the mental toughness or the mental capacity to, learn different things and study the game, it's not going to amount to anything.
Absolutely. Just as important, if not more so.
This is Danielle McNeil, excuse me. It's popped up. That'll be the second out on the top of the second.
That one was easily taken away by third baseman J.C. Shumway. You love to see those plays as an infield. It's almost like a freebie. Now
to bat for the Hornets is Arlene Miller, number 12, the senior from North Bellamore, New York.
She's the one. She's the slapper that we saw take advantage of the miscommunication in the very first inning.
Where the Knights, you mentioned before, Primick had the easy field at right where she was standing, actually. She didn't have to move to field it. But like you said, miscommunication is who's going to be at first. Here's Wachichi trying to come home, and she does make it 4 runs to 2. So back-to-back 2-run innings for the Hornets. That's the kind of math that any coach likes.
Yeah. They're doing a great job in capitalizing on the Knights' errors. Pass balls by the catcher, they're gonna add up. Right now, as the Knights, though, you're set up for one of the easiest plays in the book. What do you practice? Every single day that you're out on the field. Infield, go 1.
Absolutely. And so again, it's just making those simple plays. You already have 2 outs. Now you find yourself down by 2 runs again. And you've already overcome that deficit. The umpire is having a conversation here.
With slappers, sometimes you want to know if they're stepping out of the box since they're getting an early start to their swing. They're able to get up to speed a little bit quicker with those first few steps coming through the box and down the line. Probably debating on whether or not that was foul.
And from our angle, it definitely looked like it was. Here's the go 1. There's the 3rd out. And that's to be able to get back to bat here at the bottom of the 2nd. So once again, the score stands 4 runs to 2 in favor of the Hornets of Shenandoah. As I mentioned before, back-to-back 2-run innings. And the Knights looking to respond with 2 runs of their own. And honestly, if they're really being honest, they want 3 or 4 runs just to counterbalance everything and not play this catch-up game the entire time in this doubleheader. But once again, I want to remind you, watch this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know how we're doing and how we can improve this presentation for you, the viewing audience. And be sure to click that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. Thank you so much for supporting Knights Broadcasting. So again, like you mentioned before, Danny, the Knights have a lot of great batters on the roster. Again, a couple batting in the 400s, and you're able to show that at the bottom of the 1st. But again, if the pattern continues to hold up, where Shenandoah is getting 2 runs per inning due to either fielding errors or just solid hits down the different baselines, what are some things the Knights can do offensively to try to not just catch up, but try to take a lead over Shenandoah?
Base hits are what you're looking for. You just want simple hits, not trying to do too much at one time. Because yes, you can get a lot of scores with home runs, with a lot of power, but it's just going to be consistency at the plate, whether it's getting walks, really seeing the ball, but what's going to get your girls on base are just consistent hits that are finding holes, and we saw that a good bit in the first inning. We'd love to see more of that consistency, and we see so many of the Knights are batting in the 300s. A little check swing.
Oh, Malia Davis. She had hesitated on her swing and started to pull back, but still made contact.
Yep.
Easy out at first.
It's that split-second decision-making that we were talking about a little bit earlier, where it's so hard. You think something looks good, you think about it, and then don't pull back quite enough. But 1 out, easy to overcome. We've seen the Knights in the past. They go on a hitting streak with 1 out, even 2 outs. Anything is possible. Just put the ball in play, good things will happen.
Absolutely. So now to bat for the Knights is number 3, Chloe Nelson. Nelson is 8th in the batting lineup. Nice base hit for the Knights.
That's perfect. That's exactly what you want to see. Seeing the ball, getting on base. Fantastic. There's that consistency.
And again, a great placement between the second baseman and the shortstop. Just making sure to hit the right spot, get a base hit. Like you've mentioned, base hits are everything right now. You have to get yourself in situations to, if you get a power hitter up at bat, you can hit a couple runs in, maybe tie it up, take a lead. That's exactly what you want. A little outside.
I believe it's number 9, Emily Oldham, up to bat.
She goes for a bunt. It's kind of hard to tell if that actually ended up hitting her bat or not.
Looks like the umpire's going to call that it did take off. So they're going to send Emily back to the plate. They're going to be calling it a 1-1 count. You know, Emily is one of those where, as a pitcher, her strike zone is so difficult to hit.
Trying to steal second.
Ooh, we got an overthrow, and she's going to advance to third, and she's going home on that one.
Knights could get a run just off of error alone, and indeed they do, with Nelson getting a run for the Knights. Makes the score now 4-3, still in favor of Shenandoah, but the Knights doing what they can to bring it back even.
Both teams, we're seeing a lot of errors being committed, but both teams are doing an exceptional job when they're on offense of taking advantage when those errors occur. And of course, you aren't going to want to see those errors, but interesting.
Late call there, was very close, as the shortstop here had struggled to field that one and got it there in just the nick of time.
And we see the first baseman, in trying to stretch for that ball, almost pulls her foot off the bag. You see that the umpire had to take a second to think about that call.
Unfortunate call for the Knights as we're back at the top of the lineup with Primick up to bat. Should be an easy play for the Hornets, and that'll be 3. So the Knights get 1 run to bring it back within a 1-run game. Score still is 4-3 in favor of the Hornets, now going into the 3rd inning. Now, you think to yourself, offensively you didn't get exactly what you'd hoped for. You're hoping to repeat what you had in the first inning with 2 runs. And of course, you were able to get the one really nice, again, with the overthrow at second base. But if you're Southern Virginia, again, defensively, now is the time to strap down, to not have any errors, just get a quick 3 up, 3 down, and then you're back in business. Because again, if the Hornets continue their pattern of scoring 2 runs an inning, they could easily start to widen this gap even further, making it more difficult for Southern Virginia.
Absolutely. For both teams, they're going to want to chip away at that lead, whether they're adding to it or they are trying to overcome whatever deficit they're looking at. So if you are the Shenandoah Hornets, you are going to want to tally up that lead, because SVU has shown that they are willing to come back. They are willing to, scrap out those runs however they can. And so for Shenandoah, you're just going to want to keep adding, making that deficit even greater, making them work even harder for it. So SVU, they're going to, we again need to see them clean up this defense a little bit, see what the pitcher's going to do here. Maybe playing a bit more on the edges of the zone, keeping the girls on their toes, because now they've, all these batters have gotten a look at her before. They kind of know what she has in her arsenal. So it's a mental game between Colby Kemp, who's calling the game, and then Premick being able to execute on the pitches being called.
Now up to bat for the Hornets is number 16, Tiffany Bauer. A little to the outside. And you mentioned Colby Kemp. Colby Kemp and I, we've commentated games together throughout so far this year, basketball, volleyball. And every time I talk to him about this softball team for Southern Virginia, he's always mentioned as that is hit into center field, caught easily by Southern Virginia number 3, Chloe Nelson. So exactly what we like to see, taking care of business in the outfield. Talking to Colby Kemp, before the season started and, preseason and everything, Colby kept telling me this is one of the better rosters and teams that I have been a part of a coaching staff for in my coaching career. And he's coached a lot of softball in his time. went at the high school level. He's also been around baseball for a long time. So hearing him say something like that gave me a lot of confidence that this year would be a fantastic year for Southern Virginia softball. And again, we mentioned an 8-2 record, so Colby definitely was not lying.
Not at all. You know, Southern Virginia has been due, and especially the softball program has been due for a really phenomenal season, and it's great to see all of those pieces finally coming together and clicking.
So now batting for the Hornets is Smith, number 25. That is that is Taylor Smith.
Ooh, they're going to call her on that low outside pitch. So she's got a 3-1 count right now.
Puts Primick in a difficult situation. That's popped up.
That's going to be right center. Going to Crystal Kemp, number 16, puts it away.
So we're seeing that the Hornets are getting the bat on the ball right now. They're getting a little underneath it, fortunately, for Southern Virginia, because they're able to get behind it just a little bit. That's out of here, and another run scored for the Hornets.
Yeah, if you get just a little bit more solid contact, solid follow through, and that's going over. But the tiniest adjustments make the biggest impact on the ball.
Now at bat for the Hornets is number 10, Brenna Snyder. So 2 outs now, unfortunately, for Southern Virginia. No runs scored for them and no runners on base.
Got her swinging on that low off speed.
And you could tell she was frustrated that she even decided to swing at that one. That's always the feeling when you know you swing outside the strike zone and outside of your own comfort zone as a batter. You always beat yourself up a little bit.
Yeah, it's tough to see those ones coming out of the hand. They get her. 0-3, fantastic. Got her swinging on that.
Exactly what Southern Virginia needed. Like we mentioned, they needed to really lock down defensively, make the plays in the outfield like they did with both Nelson and Kemp. And then pitching-wise, Primick able to finish it off. So the score remains 4-3.
Figuring out how much you can get away with as far as the zone goes. And we see Crystal Kemp just tearing apart that inside pitch.
We do want to briefly apologize for some technical difficulties we've experienced here on the stream. Everything should be working well now. But again, for those who have just tuned in, the score still stands 4-3 as the Knights are trying to answer.
Crystal Kemp, number 16. Looks like she got a full count right now. She's going to take that walk.
You love to see a batter battle like that.
Yeah, that is always such a difficult position to be in as both the batter and the pitcher. Because as a batter, you're waiting for that pitch that you want. And if you have 2 strikes on your count, you're looking for anything that's close and you're trying to foul it off or take it away.
And Kraylin Guyman is up to bat for Southern Virginia. And Guyman very hesitantly swung at that one. I think they were trying to figure out if they're having a discussion there on that swing. And reaching for that one was Guyman. She really reached for that one on the outside. And so that'll be the 3rd out, and the Knights not able to get any runs in the 3rd inning. So back-to-back no-run innings for either team.
With both teams, we see a good amount of scoring in those first 2 innings, and one of the things that can come with that is, you build a little bit of momentum, you get girls on base, you have some solid hits, but then you have this eagerness that, then it pushes you. You start chasing some balls that maybe you shouldn't. You start getting a little bit less selective about which pitches you're taking a look at, and we see that happen with number 15, Kraylin Guyman, in that last at bat where she's so eager to put a bat on the ball. I've been in that position before. You want so badly to hit. I mean, it's one of the best parts about this fantastic game is when you're at the plate. It's so dynamic, and no at bat is going to be the same as another. And having that, when you put a barrel on the ball, such an incredible feeling. I know what it's like to want to chase that no matter what. So you start swinging at some things that you shouldn't.
Absolutely, and you mentioned the eagerness. I think another thing that comes into play as well is a sort of sense of complacency, where you get a couple runs in the first couple innings, like you said. Then you start to think, oh, this just feels easy, so it feels like it should just come naturally to you in the next at bat. And like you said, no at bat is ever the same as another. And right now, at bat for the Hornets is number 13, Paige Eagleton, the freshman from Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Yeah, she's gonna think about that one, and that one did end up being a called strike. So, number 8, Ariana Premick, is a good start for her. Ooh, take a nasty hop on the infield.
Indeed, that was anyone who can field a hop like that. I mean, is playing on a whole other level than anyone else. That's a difficult one to manage.
Yeah, but DeKal Jones, number 20, that shortstop, does a great job of keeping in front of her and not allowing the runner to advance on an error. So that's fantastic, keeping it in front, keeping it on the infield, and even trying to make a play on it.
The Knights almost get the out at second, but you see Eagleton able to make it there just in time. I think you saw Southern Virginia number 20 not quite able to turn her glove fast enough. That is DeKal Jones.
There are a lot of factors that go into a throwdown. Timing, positioning of the ball, positioning of your feet, that is all going to play into whether or not you're getting that girl at second. And also as a catcher in that position, you have the batter who is showing a bunt. So you're drawing in the corners are coming in to crash on that bunt, and also the bat gets in the way. We see an easy out from center fielder. They're going to hold her at 2.
As Nelson once again doing a great job out there, keeping it in front of her. And you'd love to see the fundamentals at play with these outfielders. Again, they're taught the first step you make backwards, right? And they're doing exactly that right now, and that's why they're able to get the outs they have.
Yeah, as an outfielder, it's always, and sometimes even as an infielder, it's so much harder to move backward than forward. And so when you're making adjustments, ball is in the air, it's easier to take that first step back and then be able to move forward than be moving forward and suddenly need to scramble back and behind you. That's such a difficult and unfortunate position to be in. So again, like you said, great to see those fundamentals at work.
Easy out at first, trying to make the double play at second. Ends up being overthrown. So you see number 13, Paige Eagleton, advancing to third.
That's not a bad play by the first baseman, 22. It's a rather aggressive, it's an aggressive mindset, and we love to see that. We just need a little bit cleaner execution when those throws are being made. A little bit low makes it difficult for shortstop, someone to get a glove on it. And then we see that results in having a runner on third and even better scoring position.
And Lily Richichi is at bat now. She is one of the Hornets who got her run successfully early in the first couple innings. And the error at first, trying to make the play, results in another run for Shenandoah. That makes 5 for the Hornets. Makes it 5 runs to 3. And Richichi getting a little bit of luck, getting to first. Now we're at the top of the batting lineup for the Hornets, number 25, Danielle McNeil. So again, that error in field, that's got to be disheartening if you're Southern Virginia, because again, you're trying to limit them in scoring like they had to you. Solid hit down the third base line results in a single from McNeil.
You know, earlier we talked about the mental toughness of the pitcher, and in the past we have seen, you know, other Southern Virginia pitchers where they don't have a defense that's behind them, backing them up. You know, the pitcher is doing so much work to get these infielders opportunities to put the ball away. And when that isn't happening, you know, you're getting these girls some solid ground balls to field cleanly and get some outs. It can be really disappointing as a pitcher in that position when you don't have a defense that is executing on these plays that, you know, you're practicing day in and day out.
And the fantastic bunt from Arlene Miller results in the Hornets having bases loaded. Bases loaded with Bauer up to bat. And as Tiffany Bauer, should be an easy play at first. And it will be, so the Knights finally able to get to the bottom of the fourth. Score now being 5 runs to 3 in favor of the Hornets. And once again, I want to remind you, you're watching this on Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know how we're doing. And be sure to click that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. Thank you so much for supporting Knights Broadcasting. So again, 5 runs to 3. Again, not the end of the world. Bottom of the fourth. Still have a couple innings to make that up and get some things figured out offensively. But like you said, since the first 2 innings, the Knights have really struggled to get anything going at bat when it comes to base runners. Again, we talk about getting base hits is an essential thing they need right now. Just get some runners on base, because when they've had that, they've done a great job base running, advancing, and then get a couple of solid hits down the first base line into right center field. There's a couple things you can do right now. It's just a matter of getting it done, and also a matter of course, hoping that Shenandoah makes a couple errors in the process.
Yeah. I think what we're going to be looking for here is to build some momentum, regardless of how that comes across, whether it's doing some things to throw off the defense, whether we're laying down some bunts or some well-placed hits.
Katie Clater up to bat for the Knights, number 22.
Oh.
Foul ball there.
You know, softball players, baseball players are so good at shaking off when they hit themselves with the ball, but holy cats, does it hurt. they just step right in the box, but man.
Perfect hit into right field.
Hit.
Result in a double for Clater. She's going to turn to third, and she will get there. Talk about a great start to the bottom of the fourth. That gets everyone in the Knights dugout excited.
That's going to be that energy that you really want from your leadoff hitter in the first inning, because now you have a girl, no outs, on third. This is what you want, because you can really do anything. You can lay down a sacrifice bunt. You can get a base hit through. You can go for a sacrifice fly. The batter has so much room to work, and that's something that you love, is that freedom.
Up to bat for the Knights is Malia Davis. And again, like you said, you have a runner on third now. Very fantastic opportunity for scoring here.
If you're the Shenandoah pitcher and the coach calling the pitches on their side, you're not going to be too eager to be throwing outside pitches. You don't want her hitting to the right side of the field where the runner has a better opportunity to score. You're going to be wanting to throw her inside where she's hitting to short or she's hitting to third, where you can easily check that runner and say, you're not going anywhere, and then get that out at first.
Stevenson throwing that one a little low.
you're 22, Katie Clater, you are going to be watching that pitcher, that catcher like a hawk, and anything gets past, you're looking for an opportunity to score.
Right there, again, you saw it was a little outside, and Clater was very tempted for a split second.
Yeah, all it takes is going off the tip of the catcher's glove, and it's going over to the opponent's dugout. And, you know, you do a quick scramble, and you can score on that.
That one a little to the outside. That's also a psychological game, too, with the runner at third and the pitcher, because you can kind of see the runner in your peripheral vision. And you obviously don't want to give up that run. And it also makes it to where you're very focused on making sure you don't make it difficult for your catcher to make a play. They're going to make the play at first. Well, that allows a run to be scored for Southern Virginia.
That is a good sacrifice hit. That's going to bring the score to 5-4. Is that correct?
Indeed. 5-4, still in favor of Shenandoah, but the Knights bringing it back within 1.
Again, just chipping away at that lead, doing a great job. Just consistent scoring throughout the game. You know, if you can add on a run here, run there, a couple runs here, that's going to be great for the Knights in trying to overcome this deficit that they've had. We've seen them tie up the game, and they are a team that is definitely capable of not only tying, but, you know, maybe even getting a lead. So
now up to bat for the Knights is number 3, Chloe Nelson. She's made a couple of great plays in the outfield so far in the first game of this doubleheader. Hits it right past the pitcher, right past second base. A nice single for Nelson. Making it look easy.
I had a coach when I was playing competitive, when I was in, you know, high school, teenage years, who always said, you know, you put the ball in play, good things are going to happen. And there's execution of that right there. Just putting the ball in play.
Up to bat now is Emily Oldham. They're going to call that a foul.
Between number 3, Chloe Nelson, and number 9, Emily Oldham, we have a lot of speed right now. So laying down a bunt, forcing those corners to crash, and hoping that you can beat them out is crucial right here.
I believe that hit home plate. That one sunk a little low from Stevenson. So Nelson forced to make the return trip back to first base once again.
An interesting rule in softball is when you have 2 strikes and you attempt to bunt, and if it's a foul ball, that is automatically an out. So 2 strikes on a batter with speed, it takes away that bunt. Unless you really, really want to go for it, you have to be really confident in that batter's bunting ability. But otherwise, 0-2, great position for Shenandoah to be in. Take that away.
And the dropped pitch. Oldham was trying to get to first. They tried to make the double play with Nelson at second, unable to do so. So 2 outs now.
Still have a runner in scoring position. Anything is possible, you know, so long as you're at the plate, have some runners on bases, there are opportunities for scores. And is this number 8?
Yeah, this is Primack back to the top of the batting order for Southern Virginia. You see Nelson really trying to play some mind games with the catcher.
Yeah, that throw to second takes a while. So if you have the speed that Nelson has, you want to kind of challenge her. You want her to be on her toes.
A foul ball there.
A little bit of a tomahawk. It's all right, though.
Indeed, chops right into the ground. Hits the third baseman. Safe at first. Nelson trying to get home. And safe, ties it up at 5. But they get the out at second. So Primack getting a little greedy there. But the Knights able to tie it up at 5 apiece going into the 5th inning.
That is something we love to see, that aggression, taking advantage of miscommunications, but also that over-eagerness of how far can we push it, and then seeing that little run there ended with trying to go for one extra base.
Because you had, the runner get back to home plate, get the run in, then you had the runner to first base barely get there, and then, again, like you said, trying to add on just a little bit more. What a wild series of events. That's the first time I've seen a play like that in a long time in softball. But again, you love the aggressive mentality. You'd rather have that than be very passive and allow possible plays to slip by and not take any chances.
Yeah, and with that aggressiveness, it did pay off. I mean, it is
Right.
a tie ball game right now. Still have, what are we, in the top of 5?
Indeed.
So got a couple innings to go. We'll see if Southern Virginia can have another 3 up, 3 down, or like they did a couple innings ago, really shut down that momentum for the Hornets.
Indeed, that's exactly what they need. This first time they've tied up this game since, I believe, the bottom of the 2nd. It's been a while. And so, again, you want to hold on to that as much as possible. Give yourself as much of a chance. And, again, they had tied it up at 2 apiece. And then the Hornets had 1 run, then 2 runs. And so at this point, again, you want to give yourself as many opportunities as possible. So like you said, Danny, just 3 up, 3 down, make the plays that you can, turn first, catch in the outfield if it's hit to you. No errors. Let's see what we can do. And batting for the Hornets, I do believe, is number 22, Kayla Stevenson.
She's going to have a solid line drive center field. Chloe Nelson, number 3, is going to knock it down, make sure she doesn't advance on that. It's going to be a solid single for number 23 and the Hornets, though.
I want to make a correction. That is number 23, Taylor Smith, rather than Stevenson. And following her will be Snyder, Brenna Snyder. So right away you have a runner on first.
Southern Virginia defense at this point. You have a runner on first, no out. Something that you're kind of expecting as a corner position, whether you're at first or third base, is that bunt. That's most likely coming. We see that steal.
And safe at second.
We see we have a runner in for number 23, and we now have 21 on the bases.
Indeed, that is Lexi Reed, the sophomore from Manassas, Virginia, coming in for Smith.
Now the Hornets have a runner in scoring position, no outs.
Foul ball. And that's one thing we've seen from the Hornets so far today is they have done a fantastic job base running, making plays themselves. And a lot of their runs has honestly come from successful base running, stealing second, stealing third. And again, with a little bit of help from infield errors from Southern Virginia, that's really been the core of their offense today.
Yeah, speed isn't everything on the bases. It does help significantly, but what is going to come into play more is game knowledge and paying attention, knowing how to work your defense, knowing what to take advantage of. And we've seen some really smart, really knowledgeable base running from this Hornets offense today.
It's now 1-2 count. Yeah, strikeout for Primack. Again, after you have the base hit, then you had the runner advance to second. That's got to feel good for Primack.
Certainly does, and it helps helps take away some of that energy, some of that momentum that the offense would be building up after such a solid start to the inning.
This is Paige Eagleton up to bat. That one just a little high. That one also a little high for Primack.
We're seeing some great movement, though, from the pitcher, number 8. She's working inside, outside. She's hitting her corners. We want to see her painting the plate. Forcing the batter to make a move.
And a solid hit down the first base line. The Hornets might be able to get another run in here, and they do with Lexi Reed, again, the designated runner, getting home. Make it 6-5 in favor of the Hornets. So again, you were trying, as I mentioned at the bottom of this inning, you know, if you're the Knights, you're trying to limit Shenandoah because, again, you're finally starting to find some offensive production again, able to get a couple runs in the previous inning to tie things up. But again, the Hornets just been so consistent scoring-wise. They've really done a great job at capitalizing on every opportunity given to them. And safe at second is Paige Eagleton.
There again, we see the Hornets offense being willing to take a strike on the batter in order to advance a runner. They are dragging that bat in front of the catcher's vision so that they are seeing the ball at the very last second. So they have less time to react, less time to get the ball thrown off. Really, really excellent cooperation between the batter knowing what their role is and the runner knowing to take advantage of the catcher's vision and being quick about getting off that bag and stealing two.
Another high pitch from Primack. Popped up foul ball. And this batter right now for the Hornets is number 22, Kayla Stevenson, the pitcher for the Hornets. Another foul ball. Popped up into right field. That's another foul ball.
For those of you watching who haven't been out on Harvey Dryden Field, on the right side of the field by first base, right side, it is almost a drop off. It's a very steep edge over there. So balls go over there. If you don't find them right away, they might be gone forever.
I think Stevenson's goal is to get as many out there as possible. Like I said, you can only imagine how many softballs have been found out there over the years.
Sometimes you find them there a few years old. Deer have had a chance to take them out, but that's a beautiful, beautiful strikeout looking from number 8, Ariana Premick.
It's exactly the type of thing that gets a little more confidence back into you as a pitcher. You've had a couple things go wrong for you. You lose the lead again. You have a couple runners on base. At least in this situation, you have one runner on second. But able to get that strikeout. Another foul ball. So again, the runner on second is Paige Eagleton. Another foul ball. And the batters for the Hornets have just done a great job battling today. Even if it ends up in a strikeout, or in some other case it ends up being a base hit or something like that, the Hornets have just done a great job of staying in there and swinging at those pitches that they feel comfortable with.
Indeed, and it's showing that they are really seeing what's coming at them.
Is that a catch at first base? I believe it may have hit the dirt just before.
Still love to see that. Fantastic reaction from 22, Katie Clater. See her working for that ball, even if it's foul.
If the umpire would have called that and out, I think this place might have exploded with excitement, especially in the Knights dugout. Because again, like you said, fantastic effort to dive for it off to the left side.
That is that Sports Center sort of clip that we really love to see, right? That diving play, getting in the dirt.
All of a sudden out of the ether, you hear the tone, da-na-nut, na-na-nut.
Absolutely.
Won't be a bad idea to have that sound queued up for Knights broadcasting in case plays like that occurred.
And something you don't talk about much is how much a really fantastic defensive play can give you momentum going into the offensive inning. So anything the Knights can do here to kind of get out of this sort of standoff.
And Sydney Flores continuing to battle here.
These long at-bats, though, can be really taxing on the pitcher because the more pitches you're throwing, the more worn out your shoulder is going to get. And those pitches really add up. You know, you have batters who are taking
a nice strikeout that time for Primack. And like you said, the more you have batters battling your pitcher, it's not quite the same as with baseball, since baseball is overhand where softball is underhand, but still there is that strain you have to worry about over time. And throughout a doubleheader specifically, again, who knows how many pitches you have in a doubleheader throughout the day. And so again, you want to make sure you play it smart as the pitcher and try to battle out as much as you can. But again, these batters for Shenandoah, they're not letting her have an easy time today, that's for sure.
They are doing a really good job protecting that strike zone, making her work for every strikeout. But in that inning, we saw Primack, you know, she took those outs herself. She was really working the zone, working her batters, and even though they were making her work for it, she still took each of those outs in a couple of swinging strikeouts and one looking on a really fantastic inside pitch. So she's working that zone and making her batters, you know, fight for it.
Absolutely. Stevenson still pitching for the Hornets. And Jones is up to bat for Southern Virginia. Score stands 6-5 in favor of the Hornets. Now we're in the bottom of the fifth here in the first game of this doubleheader here at the fields of Southern Virginia University.
Knights offense, this is a place that you really want to be. Top of your lineup. These girls are eager to tie up the game. You got really strong batters with DeKel Jones, JC Shumway, Crystal Kemp, and, you know, Kraylin Guyman coming up. Really consistent batters, good at getting on base, seeing the ball.
Should be an easy infield play for the Hornets, and indeed it is, and Jones is out at first. Since the first inning, another thing that Shenandoah has done a really great job at is making the easy plays. They've really not let Southern Virginia have much at all in the way of errors that lead to base hits or advancement on the base. And Shumway up to bat for Southern Virginia. And that's one thing you tend to see a lot in both softball and baseball is, again, there's other stats to look into, but oftentimes the team who wins the game is the team that has the best infield play. If you can have that, in my opinion, you're more than 85% likely to win the game.
An old saying is, you know, offense wins games, defense wins championships.
Yes, exactly. If you can take care of business on the defensive side of things, everything else tends to fall into place for you. Even if it's not pretty, it ends up working out well for you.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to say, but at the same time it's so hard to do, because in any sport you go into, defense is the hardest part of the entire process. And that hit to Stevenson off the tip of her glove. And so Shumway able to make it to first.
That is such a tough ball to get to.
Crystal Kemp up to bat for the Knights. Like you said, it was hit right above Stevenson, trying to reach up. Again, that split-second reaction.
Yeah, and as a pitcher, you have even less time because after the stride of the pitch, you have to get back into an athletic position. And if you are just, microseconds off, you aren't going to be able to get those things that are above your head. But everything's got to happen so fast.
A little to the outside.
Crystal Kemp doing a fantastic job being selective on those pitches and knowing that the umpire isn't as likely to give on that outside part of the plate. That's a great look from the senior.
That one also a little outside for Stevenson. Make it a 3-0 count. That one right down the middle.
That's not a bad take, though, for number 16. You're up 3-0 in the count. You got a lot of room to work with, and so that's a pretty good take because she's still up 3-1.
And also, great thing about that too is that she puts it on the pitcher to get back into it. It's like, this is all on you. I'm not swinging at this. I'm going to see what you're doing. And again, just more of that mind game as Kemp now walks to first. So runners on first and second for the Knights. Number 15, Kraylin Guyman up to bat.
This is the Knights' offense is what you're going to want to see. It looks like we have a runner coming in for number 16, Crystal Kemp.
It is number 12, Matea Menulelua. Actually, want to pronounce that right. Manuleleua. The first one we've seen here on the field today.
She is a player that we have seen a lot of consistency from in the past. Interesting that we aren't seeing her much in the lineup today, as she is boasting a .429 batting average. We've seen her, I think she's also one of those lefty hitters, has a lot of speed. So we see some changes in the Knights lineup for today.
And if you're a team that can mix up your lineup every now and then and still have consistent success like the Knights have had so far this season, that gives you a lot of relief as a coach when you know that, hey, if maybe this person's not quite on top of their game, we have someone else that can fill their spot and do just as well, if not more so. As a coach, that just takes away so much stress and makes it to where your hair goes gray a lot slower than maybe other coaches would.
And this is definitely something, we talk about Colby Kemp and looking at the team. Something that the Knights have lacked in the past is a lot of depth on the bench.
Right.
We have, 19 or 20 players on the roster this year. And so they have the room to make adjustments to the lineup. If someone's having a bit of an off day, we can put someone in to have an opportunity to, put something up, put something on the board to show what they're able to do with their bat. And that sort of depth.
Able to make the play at third. So now runners on first and second. You kind of like the mentality from Shenandoah. They see they're going to have a bases loaded situation, so they decide to make the play at third rather than first.
Absolutely. You want to take away that lead run because you'd much rather have girls on first and second than second and third. And then you also, if you have girls on second and third, you don't have a force out. So by keeping the runners moving forward, now you still have a force out at 3, 2, or 1. So, a lot of options for the Hornets defense in this situation. So really smart choice by them in that last play.
Really reaching for that one is number 22, Katie Clater.
Oh, nasty hop. Goes off the shoulder of the shortstop, but that is going to score one Knight.
And safe at second and third for Southern Virginia. Indeed, that'll get another run for the Knights. Tie things up at 6 apiece.
Tie score, runners on second and third. This is a great position for Southern Virginia. And we've seen that the infield has been rather hard today. Maybe not a lot of moisture has hit the field, so any ball that's getting hit hard can really take a nasty hop and get a lot of height on the ball that is unexpected.
Looks like we're going to change up at pitcher. Stevenson will retire to the dugout. In her place will come in number 23, Taylor Smith, the sophomore from Bealton, Virginia. So we'll see what she can do in Stevenson's place. Stevenson's done a fantastic job so far today. She and the defense has given up 6 runs, but overall, I mean, you've seen Southern Virginia sometimes having a real challenge hitting against her and getting anything going in a couple of these innings. So much credit to Stevenson so far in today's game.
Yeah, she threw a great game today. Would have loved to have seen the Hornets defense back her up a little bit. You know, there's only so much that a pitcher can do, you know, without the defense coming up behind her, executing. We've seen the defenses on both teams tighten up a little bit as the game goes on. You know, that's exactly what you would want and expect from a collegiate team, where you want to eliminate those errors and just play some really good queed ball. And as coaching staff for the Hornets, Shenandoah, you know, this is a good choice, because we've seen the SVU lineup. They've seen your other pitcher quite a bit. And so throwing them off a bit, you know, when you have a tie game, not much game left for at least this first outing, whole lot of second game left. Got a whole other 7 innings after this one. But
and also, like you said, the Knights had gotten used to Stevenson, and they had just tied things up. And so a good time to switch things up and make it to where the Knights kind of have to reset offensively is now.
This is where, you know, softball, baseball are such sports where you have to be resilient, have to be adaptable, and react to whatever is literally being thrown at you.
So swing and a miss there. Up to bat right now for Southern Virginia is number 6. That is Malia Davis. Or Malia, excuse me. So again, runners on second and third. And for those who are just now tuning in, the score is 6 runs to 6 at the bottom of the 5th inning. That one a little low from Smith.
A really excellent block by the catcher there, keeping it in front of her, making sure that those runners aren't advancing, aren't scoring in positions where you don't want them to.
Be a good infield play from Shenandoah. So they'll get out of there with the score still tied 6-6, going to the top of the 6th inning. A lot of sixes going on here in this one. But I want to remind you to watch this on Knights Broadcasting here at Southern Virginia University. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know how we're doing, and be sure to hit that notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. Thank you so much for supporting Knights Broadcasting. We appreciate your support indeed. So we'll see if Southern Virginia can have a solid defensive outing now that the score is tied at 6 runs to 6. Because again, top of the 6th inning, there's not much time left, right? You have the bottom of the 6th to respond, and the bottom of the 7th if you don't have the lead by then. So if you're Southern Virginia, what things are you doing defensively? What things are you focusing on?
We really saw number 8, Ariana Premick. She was keeping that zone tight. She was responsible for all 3 outs. If she's able to do that again, fantastic, but also being able to rely on her defense is going to be really important here, knowing that if she is getting her infield some base hits, or excuse me, she getting them some ground balls to work with, making sure that they can execute and take care of those outs and not adding any more errors on, you know, if she's sending some line drives or pop-ups to the outfield, making sure that they are just taking care of that, being nice and clean. We want to see a nice tight defense with it being tied up right now so that they can get back into the dugout, put some more runs on the board.
And up to bat for the Hornets is Lily Richichi. She's had a lot of success getting on base and running the bases. I believe she has 2 runs to her name today that she has scored for the Hornets. So she's one of those where it's another proof that dynamite comes in small packages. And for Southern Virginia, you have to be really careful of her both at bat and on the bases.
Yeah, love to see a dynamic player.
Again, standing at 5'3", we talked about before how a shorter batter really makes things complicated for the pitcher as that strike zone gets smaller and smaller.
It does require a lot of precision on the part of both the catcher and the pitcher. Knowing how tight your framing has to be, we see there that the catcher brings it up a little bit, makes it nice and pretty for the umpire to call that one a strike.
That's popped up. Southern Virginia not able to get there in time, but limits it to a single for Ichichi. And then we're back to the top of the batting lineup with number 25, Danielle McNeil. So once again, Richichi showing she is a formidable opponent at bat.
Indeed. You know, 2 runs on the board. We'll see if she can make it all the way around this time. Hopefully the Knights will be able to cut that off. We'll see if they lay down a bunt here to try and advance her. We've seen them do that in the past.
The bunt pops up behind home plate. Be a foul ball.
You know, we talked about that smart base running earlier. We'll see, you know, it looks like they're trying to lay down that bunt this time instead of just showing it, taking that strike to advance the runner. They're going to have her swinging away.
Same location. Richichi will advance to third. Again, it doesn't take much to give Richichi enough room to advance further than maybe a lot of the base runners would.
Yeah, that's a great job reading the ball, seeing that the right fielder, Crystal Kemp, isn't going to get to it in time, and knowing that you can just get a good running start, get a good turn on that corner on the second base so that you have a lot of momentum, a lot of speed going into third. Excellent base running by Richichi. Just going to show the bunt that's going to go off the foot of Kraylin Guyman, the catcher.
And Richichi is going to make it home once again. And Richichi has been an absolute monster scoring-wise today. Makes it 7 runs to 6. So now McNeil at second. Foul ball that time, and now batting for the Hornets is Arlene Miller. And you talk about resilience in this sport. I mean, the Hornets have really been that exact thing, resilient in today's game, as that'll be an easy infield play for Primack. And McNeil able to make it to second base. In the fact that every time Southern Virginia has battled back offensively or they made some solid plays defensively, the Hornets have been able to get 1 run here, another run there to keep things either even or maintain a lead.
And we see base running again from the Hornets side of, you know, they see that ball being thrown to first base, so what are they going to do? They're going to run from second to third. And even if that's going to be a sacrifice, at least they're advancing the runner.
Another foul ball here.
So what we don't want to see from Southern Virginia in this case is another pass ball and a score from 25. So wanting to keep it really tight behind the plate. Ooh, got that nice floater, that nice off speed that Primack has been so excellent at showcasing today. Caught a lot of girls looking with it.
And she also gets Tiffany Bauer to look at that one as well. That one a little low from Primack.
Good to see Kraylin Guyman, though, keeping that in front of her, making sure that runner on third doesn't advance.
Solid hit into left field. Another run scored for the Hornets. Makes it 8 runs to 6. Coaches for Shenandoah talk to the umpire here.
Yeah, it looks like we got a runner coming in for number 16 who just had a fantastic, really hard ground ball through the hole, the 5-6 hole there over on the left side. So now we got a runner on first. I think it's number 8 came in for 16.
That is Eliza Hunt, the freshman from Placentia, California. A little bit low from Primack. Popped up into right field. Kemp is able to make the play.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want to see when you're in the circle, is a defense that is coming behind you, backing you up, taking care of those nice, easy plays that you practice a million times. So to see the senior Crystal Kemp taking care of that stuff, the outfielders taking care of anything that's in the air, love to see that.
Number 10, Brenda Snyder up to bat for the Hornets now.
Oh.
Nearly able to make the play at second. It's a beautiful throw. But number 6, Malia Davis, it hit the very tip of her glove. I believe she was trying to move the glove into position to get the tag out while she's trying to catch it at the same time.
Yeah, interesting. We see a defensive change. Here we see DeKal Jones back in her position, back at 20, and we have Malia in the shortstop position. So we have a bit of a defensive change here. Nice a swing and a miss there.
Foul ball. So again, the Hornets have a runner on second as Eliza Hunt. Has popped up.
That is such a tough position to get it in. That is right in the hole behind second base, right in front of right field.
And another run scored for the Hornets as Hunt was able to turn to third and back home. Now number 13, Paige Eagleton up to bat for the Hornets. And now, again, with a 9-6 lead. If you're Southern Virginia, you've been battling back and forth the Hornets all day long, tying it up, either taking a 1-run lead or being down by 1. Now at this point, you're down by 3. About to go into the bottom of the 6th and into the 7th. Now, again, you're in a deeper hole than you've been all game long.
Right, this is where that resilience, that mental toughness is really going to come into play. Southern Virginia, you're going to want to get out of this inning. Want to get some runs up on the board, bounce back from this. I think this is the biggest deficit that they've had, but certainly doesn't mean that they can't come back from it.
Right down the middle for Primack.
Love to hear some chatter from the girls on the field too, staying engaged, keeping their players up. Love to see that support.
That's kind of a hard thing too in a long inning like this has been, is staying mentally engaged and vocally engaged. It's very easy to, if things start to go wrong for you and it's just lasting a long time, especially if you're in the outfield, for instance, and you're simply staying out there for a long period of time, it's very easy to mentally check out. But like you said, glad to see that that is not happening.
Right.
A little outside. I know I've definitely been there before in my baseball years where there's innings where your team gives up a couple of runs, sometimes up to 7 runs in an inning. And if you're in the outfield, that's a long time for you.
Yep. So you'll notice that something that these players do is whenever the pitch is getting ready, you'll see everyone moving forward into a good position.
And the strikeout brings us to the bottom of the 6th. The score now being Hornets 9, Southern Virginia Knights 6. I want to once again remind you this is brought to you by Straws Drinks and Eats here in Buena Vista, Virginia. If you're looking for great drinks, great treats, and great times, look no further than Straws Drinks and Eats in Buena Vista, Virginia. If you're passing through, visiting a student athlete, visiting the campus, or just visiting the beautiful mountains in this area, be sure to go stop by. We thank you so much for supporting Southern Virginia Athletics, Straws Drinks and Eats.
Another fantastic note about Straws is they feature a lot of local artists. They have this awesome
Indeed.
little wall where they have books written by local artists, mugs and things, art. Really awesome to see them engaging with the community in such a neat way.
You absolutely love to see local places like that, celebrating the local talent, local businesses. Just a nice, small, great community you come to expect from a place like Buena Vista, Virginia.
Speaking of locals, I do believe that Southern Virginia has a player on the team this year who is a local. So she is actually from Buena Vista. So I think that's fantastic.
Indeed, you love to see that. We see that in a lot of different sports here for Southern Virginia. A couple different players on each different squad that's either from the area or from the general area. Makes paying for student housing a lot cheaper, I'll tell you that much.
Sure does. But at the same time, you have these players coming from across the nation, you know, pulling players from Utah, Colorado, California, Arizona.
Like you said, you know, you look at a lot of other colleges in the area, very local talent, local kids go there. Sometimes you get one from out of state, but like you mentioned with Southern Virginia, you look at all the different rosters and all the different programs. Like you said, Utah, Arizona, California, Oregon, sometimes even in the Midwest with Colorado, then sometimes even out as far as Hawaii or the Polynesian Islands. Like it's a great little look into the big world we have here. But anyway, number 3, Chloe Nelson up to bat for Southern Virginia.
She's going to have an excellent line drive that's going to drop in front of the left fielder. Love to see solid hits like that.
Of course, the Hornets able to take care of business to make sure that Nelson could not advance to second as well. And Emily Oldham will be up to bat.
Again, we have that 3 and 9 speed that we saw a few innings ago. Love to see what they do with it.
That one a little low to the outside.
Here again, we have that really precise zone that 23 has not had an opportunity to work with today. So we're going to see how she adapts to this teeny tiny little strike zone.
And again, for those who just tuned in, number 23, Taylor Smith, as that has popped up straight into the air. That'll be a foul ball. But Taylor Smith just recently took the spot of Kayla Stevenson pitching for the Hornets. Again, Stevenson had a fantastic game pitching-wise up until that point.
Beautiful bunt.
Fantastic work. Able to get safe at first. Nelson trying to advance to third, and she does. You couldn't have written it up any better.
That is exactly what you want to see from the SVU offense in that case. You got speed at the plate and on first base. Emily easily beating it out at first. Chloe Nelson advancing to third. Again, like what you said, couldn't ask for a better situation.
Now to bat for Southern Virginia is pitcher number 8, Ariana Primack. So now runners on first and third. Danny, what are you doing in this situation? What are you hoping to do as Primack in this situation?
You're being aggressive, but you're also being smart, wanting to advance that runner.
Safe at home is Nelson.
We got a bit of a pickle situation. Not quite.
But Oldham able to get back to second. So again, great base running turns into points.
Yep, and no errors either, so just speed, knowing when you're going.
Had a little infield meeting here for the Hornets after that run was given up.
That's a smart call to have a meeting after that point, because that builds SVU just scored from both speed and knowing the game, knowing where you're supposed to be, knowing what your job is as a runner, and you want to kind of cut down on that energy. Because as SVU, that's exactly what you want right there. And you're happy. You're excited about what you're doing next.
And again, like you said, for there to be no outs in that play to occur, I mean, that's exactly what you want to have happen.
Yeah.
As the lead has been whittled down to a 2-run lead for the Hornets. Again, 9-7 here in the bottom of the 6th.
Now they're going to try it again. Force that defense to make a play on that bunt.
And again, you got Oldham on second base. She's proven she's quite the base runner as well. It can be really dangerous.
Tiny but mighty.
On a little low. Oldham is going to get to third off the catcher error. So now if you're Primac, I'd imagine the possibility of a sacrifice bunt is on the table, or a sacrifice hit of some kind in the infield to where you're forcing them to make the play at first. Primac able to get to first. And out at home is Oldham. Kind of questionable decision there from Oldham. I understand the idea as Primac was making it to first.
She didn't quite have the sort of lead that you would want on something like that. We see that she was only like maybe 5 feet off the base, and she does have the speed, but she didn't quite get the jump necessary. She was kind of dead in the water at that point.
Definitely some hesitation there on that play, and if you're going to go home, commit to it, right? And I think that's the one thing that held her back. Primac trying to get to second. She's safe.
That slide is something that you definitely want to see where you're going along the outfield side of the bag so that it is more difficult, because then the shortstop is having to come across the base and it's more difficult for her to try and tag you. You're trying to be as elusive as you can as a base runner. So from number 8, excellent base running, that's the exact kind of slide that you want to do.
And Cindy Flores was protesting the call as she claimed she had her glove on top of Primac's hand. And at bat number for Southern Virginia's number 20, DeKel Jones.
So as a player, those calls, that can go either way can be really challenging, but it is not your role as the player to protest. All you got to do is keep playing ball to the best of your ability, hoping that calls go your way, and just trying to make it so that when a call does need to be made, that it's made in such a way that it isn't something that can be disputed.
Right, controlling what you can control and not worrying about the rest, I think, is the main point here.
Yep. Hot shot over to the home base side.
So Jones battling it out against number 23, Taylor Smith.
DeKel Jones, another one of those solid hitters from SVU's side. She's got a runner in scoring position. We know that she's absolutely capable.
That pitch a little low from Smith. That one a little high. Again, Jones just being really patient.
Yeah, that's great. We love to see that. And we love to see the pitcher making adjustments, moving around in the zone. Now we see a full count. Both the batter and the pitcher are really going to have to work for this one, both trying to come out on top.
And Jones will walk to first. So now runners on first and second for the Knights. The Knights have number 24, J.C. Shumway, up to bat. She's had a lot of success. Able to get one of the Knights' runs, one of the Knights' 7 runs on the day. I feel like every time we've talked about her being at bat or running bases, she's made a play at some point.
Yeah. In your 3-hole, that's exactly the kind of thing you're going to want to see. the ability to get on base and move around the bases, moving the people who come before you. That's such a clutch position to be in, is that 3-hole. Means you're seeing the plate a good number of times and being consistent when she's there.
Fantastic work from Smith once again. That'll be a foul ball. So Shumway doing a great job of battling it out. And again, for those who are just tuning in, we are in the bottom of the 6th. So after this will be only 1 inning remaining. Solid hit into left field. It'll be a foul ball once again. That's disheartening as a batter when you feel like you make solid contact, you get a lot of power behind it, it sails in the air, and it drifts into a foul ball.
Yeah, but at the same time, it does give you a lot of confidence. You know that you're making solid contact. So going into this next pitch, you know what it feels like, and you want it again.
That one a little outside from Smith.
A great look from J.C. Shumway.
That one also a little outside.
Great job, the batter being selective at the plate, knowing your zone, knowing what you want to take and what you don't.
That one also a little outside. Now full count.
See that umpire again. Love the consistency of what he's going to give you and what he isn't. We've seen him time and time throughout the day where he just isn't willing to give up that outside corner. As a batter, that's something that you know and want to capitalize on. But he does like that inside.
Indeed he does. Smith able to get the strikeout there. Now Crystal Kemp up to bat for Southern Virginia. Shumway was a little baffled at that inside strike call, but again, like you mentioned, the umpire has liked that today.
Yeah, and as a batter, you know, that's a tough call. You know, usually when you have 2 strikes on you, you want to be a little bit more aggressive. And if it's something that you don't like a lot, but it's close enough, you're going to want to try to foul that off. So that's tough for both sides, but, you know, well done on the side of the Hornets pitcher.
So again, runners still on first and second for Southern Virginia as they're trying to even things out. They're down 9 runs to 7.
In theory, you have the tying run on first base, right? So.
Right. Swing and a miss there for Kemp.
Crystal Kemp had a lot of success in past games. Struggled a bit today, but that's all right. We know what she is capable of.
Pops that up and brought down by number 12, Arlene Miller. So score still remains 9 runs to 7 in favor of the Hornets of Shenandoah, now going into the top of the 7th inning. So at this point, if you're Southern Virginia, you're thinking to yourself, defensively, give up nothing whatsoever.
Exactly.
You want to get in, get out, 3 up, 3 down, however you want to phrase it. You want to make all the plays you can. You hope to have all the bounces go your way. Like you mentioned, you know, the infield has been kind of unpredictable bounce-wise today. And then when you get bat, bottom of the 7th, you know, there's nothing better. You know, you're down by 2 runs if you play defense well enough to where you don't give up another run. And again, bottom of the 7th, end of the game, perfect situation to, you know, where stories are made. You know, I've seen plenty of games where at the bottom of the final inning, whether it be in baseball with 9 innings or softball with 7, all of a sudden get a couple of good hits, a couple of good runs on bases, able to get some runs in, make some magic happen. So again, got to take care of business here first to give yourself that chance.
And this is where Southern Virginia does have the home field advantage. They've been on so many away trips, so they've been the one where, in the Hornets position, where they're trying to maintain a lead and making sure that they tack on as many runs as possible because, home field has the last opportunity to score. So SVU, you're going to want to shut that down as quickly as possible, knowing that you get the last say. So.
Absolutely, and if you're Shenandoah, like you mentioned, you've had a lot of success here today. You've been able to get bats on ball and able to get some solid hits, run bases really well. That's hit out into left field, brought down by Nelson. So exactly what the Knights wanted.
Yeah, that's a great way to start off the inning. One pitch, one out. That's great for the pitcher who's had, a long game. So.
Now up to bat for the Hornets is number 19, Sydney Flores.
I think we might have a substitution here.
Indeed, I believe you are right.
Number 5?
This is actually number 15, Kara Watkins, the freshman from Thurmont, Maryland.
Got a 5 right. Forgot the 1 in front of it. Apologies about that.
Right down the middle for Primac. But as I was kind of leading into, if you're the Hornets, again, you've had a lot of success offensively. At this point, you don't want to stop taking risks. You don't want to stop being aggressive because, again, a 2-run lead in softball and baseball, that's not a safe lead at all. So you got to do as much as you can, work the magic you've been working all game long. And even if they're able to only get maybe 1 run in the top of the 7th.
It's still something.
Right. It may well just be enough to come away with a victory here in this first game of the doubleheader.
Yeah, and it's excellent to see this player, number 15, coming off the bench, and she is ready and swinging. She sent a hard one down the line, third base side, so eager for the opportunity to be at the plate right now.
Absolutely. You got to imagine a lot of batters when they're in the dugout for most of the game. They're just kind of waiting on pins and needles, waiting for that chance, and all of a sudden they're put in. They're thinking to themselves, finally.
Yeah, got a lot to prove in this situation.
That one a little high from Primac. Popped up into right field. Here's Kemp, able to bring it down. 2 quick outs.
Yeah, this is leading up to exactly what you want. Southern Virginia defense. 2 batters, 2 outs.
But who you don't want to see is exactly who is up to bat for the Hornets right now. Lily Richichi. We've talked about her a lot so far in today's game. Again, able to get on base basically every single time she's been at bat. Able to get a run in almost every single time she's been at bat as well. So if you're in the Knights defense, you're thinking to yourself, okay, no more from this batter. No more whatsoever.
Yeah. Richichi just had what a great outing for her today.
Swinging at a low pitch there. Indeed, I want to say she's responsible for 3 of the runs for the Hornets today, which is essentially the lead that they have over Southern Virginia.
It certainly is. And that's a third of their runs. We see her getting another one of those.
She gets a
singles.
base hit.
A great play from Crystal Kemp,
right,
knowing that she needs to try and throw it off as quick as possible.
So another trip at bat, another time on base for Richichi. Number 25 for the Hornets, that is Danielle McNeil.
Richichi looks like she's going for 4 for 4 on the day. That's a great feeling to be, or to have as a batter.
So 2 outs, top of the 7th. Still 9 runs to 7. Richichi will advance to second base.
Yeah, we see that going off the toe of the catcher there. Seeing a bit of a breeze picking up and some communication about that on the field, letting people know how the ball is going to sit in the air differently as an outfielder or as an infielder. The wind has such a big impact on the ball.
What a catch for Primac. slams that down as McNeil hits it right towards her. You talk about that reaction time we've talked about several times today. Primack gets the pitch, instantly raises the glove, catches it, and shuts it down. So no runs given up by Southern Virginia at the top of the 7th.
Yep.
Still down by 2 runs. And you can feel the energy from the Knights. Again, I mentioned before, in baseball or softball, these are the moments you dream of. You're down by 1 or 2 runs, bottom of the 7th or bottom of the 9th. Make some magic happen. Get a couple of bat on ball, get a couple base hits, and who knows what can happen.
Yeah. We've seen them time and time throughout the day where they've come back from, 2 runs, 1 run. So we know that they're capable of it. Now let's just see that put in play. Because I think the same thing, or roughly the same thing, happened last year. Very back and forth, very competitive ball game. And then I think with both games they ended up losing by 1. So with this, you know that they're hungry for it. They want to. It's been a tough game all day where they've been battling back, coming back from a deficit. So not only do they have this game to contend with, but past games where similar things that have happened. 2 very well-matched teams.
Absolutely. I want to remind you once again, this presentation of Southern Virginia Athletics is brought to you by Knights Broadcasting here on YouTube. Be sure to give us a like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know how we're doing and how we can improve this presentation of Southern Virginia Athletics for you. And be sure to click the notification bell that we get notified every single time we go live with Southern Virginia Athletics. Thank you so much for supporting Knights Broadcasting. Umpires discussing something with the visiting dugout. Aren't quite sure exactly what that was about.
Who knows? There's so many little, almost nitpicky rules about, buckets being outside of the dugout or, certain people being a bit too far outside, not protected by a fence or something. So could have been anything, or maybe there was a snide comment. You never know.
This is Guyman at bat for the Knights. Again, bottom of the 7th, this is do or die in this first game.
Yeah, it looks like Guyman is up 3-0 in this count, so a lot of room to work.
Right down the middle for Smith.
Good take, though. I think you mentioned earlier, this puts the pitcher in a position where she needs to be throwing those strikes. Like, she's the one who has to work, so the batter has a little bit of room.
And Guyman will walk to first with Clater up to bat. So there's 2 ways you can approach this, or at least a combination of the 2. You can be patient, right, like you just saw Guyman there, and wait for the pitches to come to you as she has a runner come in for her. That is number 4, being Kayla Autry, excuse me. But you can either be patient, or you can be really aggressive and go after basically everything. And now that's kind of counterproductive, because if you go for everything, you're going to strike out pretty easily. That tends to be a recipe for that. But you want to be patient, let things come to you.
Right, we do love to see that adjustment from Kraylin Guyman. We saw her, a couple at-bats ago where she was really eager to get a bat on the ball, and to see her being more selective about pitch choice, it's great to see that sort of adjustment happening mid-game. Especially when the game is so tight like this.
Again, you have Kayla Autry at first. For those who are just recently tuning in, this is the bottom of the 7th. Shenandoah has the 9-7 lead popped up there. And that's Richichi. Bring that down in right field. So 1 out now. And Southern Virginia still has number 4, Kayla Autry at first. And Malia Davis, number 6, will be up to bat for the Knights. So again, if the Knights want to force extra innings, they need 2 runs here. And of course, they want to win this one, they need 3. Popped up and brought down. So 2 quick outs.
Shenandoah defense right now really celebrating that, because this is, this inning is going pretty much how you want it to. Southern Virginia is going to need to find that grittiness to come back from this, putting some things in play, helping things work out in their favor.
And Chloe Nelson will be up to bat for Southern Virginia. We mentioned her outfield play today. Make a couple fantastic plays out in center field. It'll be a foul ball. And kind of like you said, with 2 outs now, you kind of have to take a lot of risks and a lot of chances, and you have to have a lot of things go your way. Every bounce is to go your way. You have to have some errors occur on the part of Shenandoah. Again, it's not out of the question, but those 2 quick outs make things a lot more difficult for you if you're to pull off a comeback here in this first game. And just like that, 3 straight outs closes it out in this first game. This final score ends up being 9-7 in favor of the Hornets of Shenandoah University. And it brings the Hornets record to 4-7 overall and the Knights record to 8-3 overall. But we will be bringing you the second game of this doubleheader here in just a little bit. So be sure to come back here in about 20-30 minutes here on Knights Broadcasting, and we'll be back for that contest.